let's talk about Millie Bobby Brown. The young actress made her rise to fame in the Netflix hit series Stranger Things, which is ongoing today. Since then, she has starred in many projects such as Godzilla, Damsel, The Electric State, and the Enola Holmes series, which she also works as a producer on. However, the young creative is not just a movie star. Since her rise to fame, she has also launched many various creative projects under the name Florence by Mills. This started with a makeup line circa 2020, and from there she has launched not only a clothing line, but also a coffee line. That's where I come in. Hi, my name is Ashley. I am a YouTuber. This is my YouTube channel, and I create content about lifestyle, workouts, college content, basically anything that I am interested in. And while I am very interested in Millie Bobby Brown, she has been my celebrity obsession since I was like 14 years old. I wasn't even allowed to have social media until I was almost 18, but I would go to Apple News, follow the Millie Bobby Brown topic on there, and refresh it every day looking for updates on not only her acting career, but also her love life and her brand updates. As I followed along since the age of 14, I watched as Millie released many different brands, from her makeup line, which, if you are new here, which most of you are, my most popular viewed video ever is testing Florence by Mills Wildly Me and her makeup line. But she also launched a clothing company and a coffee company. A little background about myself: I wanted to be a barista since I was 15 years old. I was watching all my friends get their first jobs at Starbucks, and I applied to Starbucks so many times, literally from the age 16 until I was pretty much 19. However, right before my 19th birthday, I was offered a job at another coffee company, which I will not disclose. All I'm telling you is that it's not Starbucks, but I work at another coffee company, and my dreams of being a barista have finally been fulfilled. Now, in case you haven't heard of Florence by Mills coffee, it's not actually a new brand. She's had it for, I think, around 4 or 5 years now, but it hasn't really taken off as much as it has in the past couple of months. I see her posting on her Instagram story all the time, reposts of people trying her coffee. She has canned coffees in Walmart and a couple other grocery stores now too. However, this is the first time that I have gotten my hands on a product, and it's not one of the most popular ones. I will say her most popular product is her canned coffee, but today we're trying something that I, as a barista and a college student, think is a super innovative and cool product. As you can see, I've already opened the box. I have not looked inside yet, but I was like really itching to see what the packaging looked like, and I will show you guys in just a second. However, let me introduce what this product is. So Florence by Mills started off their coffee company with a line of coffee grounds, which I did not buy at the time because it was like 4 years ago and I didn't know a single thing about coffee. I believe they then launched a couple years later their coffee cans, and now in the past couple of months they have launched coffee concentrates. As a college student, I understand how expensive running out to get coffee can be, but I also understand how expensive it can be to start up your own coffee station at home. I personally have 3 different coffee machines. I have a Keurig, I have a Ninja Drip coffee machine, and then I have a Casa Brews espresso machine, but I didn't buy any of these, so I have never front-loaded the costs of starting up a home coffee stand. However, what I do know is the cost of coffee grinds, and especially Keurig pods or Nespresso pods. I know Nespresso is super popular because a lot of drinks are actually made with espresso. If you go to a cafe and you order a latte, breve, mocha, americano, cappuccino, or macchiato, those are all drinks that are made with espresso. They're not made with a typical drip coffee machine, which is, I think, the most popular type of machine that you would find in a household. Having an espresso makes it very easy to make sure you're getting quality level espresso, whether that's making sure that your shots are pulling within the correct range or making sure that you have the correct coarseness of grain. However, Nespresso pods are extremely expensive, and they're sold in much smaller increments than you would find by getting a bag of espresso grind coffee. However, buying a bag of espresso grind coffee is also expensive, as is buying an espresso machine. So having something like a coffee concentrate gets rid of the need to go pay $8 for a coffee at Starbucks, also getting rid of the need to spend $90 on an espresso machine plus $15 on a box of espresso pods. So let's take a look inside the box. I've obviously blacked out my address, so I'm able to open this box in front of you, but let's see what the packaging looks like. Now, I haven't looked at the actual containers yet. This is as far as I have looked, so I'm viewing it with you for the first time. It didn't come in like a fancy box, but also neither did the Wild Me perfume or the makeup line, if you go back and watch that video. So I kind of do appreciate that while the company doesn't have the most aesthetic of packaging, they are being a little more environmentally friendly by not spending as much paper or printer ink on making boxes or other things like that to decorate their packaging. And this is what's inside. I got the coffee concentrates trio, which comes with all 3 flavors that they currently offer in the coffee concentrates. I think that they do have more flavors when it comes to their canned coffee, but this is all that's currently available in the concentrates. The trio set cost me $60. And if we look at the bottles, it says that there are 47 servings per container. Each serving being a teaspoon of the concentrate. Now, I will say I believe that 1 teaspoon of this is equal to 1 shot of espresso, and not a ton of drinks are made with a single shot unless you specifically order them that way. Obviously, it's gonna vary from cafe to cafe. I don't know how Starbucks does it, and I can't speak to every local coffee chain or shop. However, it does say on the bottle that you should add 1 to 2 teaspoons per serving, which I think is a little more accurate to a small or medium-sized latte that you would get at a coffee shop. And this is really interesting because I actually set up my experiment to assess these coffees in 2 different ways, and it actually does say on the bottle that you can add water or milk. Because this is an espresso type concentrate, there are a lot of different ways you can prepare this. So the way I'm going to be testing them today is 2 different ways: latte and Americano. A latte is made with 2% milk and you can get it hot or iced. I have 2% in my fridge, so that's the type of drink I'm going to be making. And the second way that I'm going to be preparing these coffee concentrates today is as an Americano. Now, Americanos are definitely a less popular of a way to order a coffee, but I think it's going to allow the flavor of the coffee to really shine through, because an Americano is just espresso and water. Sometimes it has a couple ounces of cream, but we're going to go full black Americano today with these. First, let's take a look at what we have today, though. This is the original super coffee concentrate. It comes in just this plain purple packaging. I think this bottle right here is going to be the closest that we're going to be able to find to a plain espresso shot. Typically, flavor is added to coffee drinks with the use of syrups. I think the most easy to access one and the most well-known is Torani, but there are also many other brands that you can buy if you are looking to get flavored coffee, but you don't want to spend a lot of money on the full set. The second one we have is French vanilla. I think vanilla is probably one of the most common flavors ordered at coffee houses. This will probably still have a lot of the flavor from the original, but you also wouldn't have to go out of your way to buy any syrups, which is very convenient. And last but not least, we have the chocolate truffle concentrate. Now, I am wondering if this one will be able to get us close to a mocha, because different coffee houses make them differently. Some use a chocolate sauce and some just use chocolate milk as a base. It really depends where you go. You can obviously always ask your barista what they use in their mochas, but I almost wonder if this one will get us close to a mocha. So let's find out. Okay, I apologize for the angle change. I just wanted to get you guys a little closer to the actual coffees so we can see them. First up, we have the original super coffee concentrate. Now, one thing I will point out off the bat, this bottle is now naked. The bottles are shrink wrapped and they are not otherwise labeled outside of the shrink wrap, and I don't know if there is a way to keep the label on once you've opened it, but the way I opened it, the entire label disappeared. So I would highly recommend putting a Sharpie marking if you do get the trio set to just differentiate which is which. Like I said earlier, we've prepared this coffee 2 ways, latte and Americano. Now, these are not very diluted. I will say I may need to dilute these a little bit more, but I don't want to poop myself from drinking too much milk. So I have also only put the 1 teaspoon serving in these because I'm going to be drinking 6 different coffees today. I don't want to go into cardiac arrest, so we're only doing 1 teaspoon. I'm sure you can make it stronger, and I will tell you if I feel like it needs to be stronger. However, I am a latte girl. I'm not a strong coffee fan, so we're gonna start off with the latte. Here's what it looks like. Okay, this is unflavored. I did say that at the beginning. I've also drank unflavored lattes before, and they're not exactly my cup of tea. Also, not super diluted. However, I'm not sure if the strongness that I'm getting is actual coffee flavor or if it's chemically. Let me look at like what's in this. Okay, it would appear that the only ingredients for this one are triple filtered water and 100% Arabica coffee. So it could just be a little bit of a burnt flavor that is coming from the fact that it is a concentrate. It's not made fresh, it's had a while to sit, and it's also very, very undiluted in the solution. But let's try the Americano version, see if we can taste a little bit more of the flavor. Maybe my fries 2% milk is the problem here. Oh, yeah. I will say it doesn't smell very nice. It kind of smells a little bit like crayons, but it does taste pretty good in an Americano form. I don't know if maybe you would want to make this with whole milk, oat milk, almond milk. It might taste a little better, but so far, I really like it as an Americano. I think obviously I would usually put a couple ounces of cream in here, but I think the coffee flavor on its own is pretty decent with this one. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. I think it does taste just the slightest bit burnt, but it mostly does taste burnt in the latte form. So I think, again, maybe my fries 2% milk is not the best choice for this experiment. Let's try the next flavor. Okay, next we have the French vanilla. I don't know if you can see from here. I've made these ones a little less dilute, especially the latte. I didn't want the milk to mess up my results if that is the problem in fact. But I also think it could be the fact that the original flavor is not flavored, and I do typically like my lattes with a good amount of flavor in them. So let's try it. This one does smell a lot nicer than the original one, I will say. I definitely do pick up on the vanilla. It's kind of hard to say. I think I do like this one a lot better than the original, at least for a latte form. I don't get like the strongest vanilla flavoring from it, but it does taste a lot less bitter and a lot less milky. It tastes like there's coffee in this milk instead of like Windex in this milk, so maybe it wasn't the milk's fault after all. Again though, the vanilla flavoring is not super strong, so I'm not entirely sold on the French vanilla flavor. Next up, the Americano. Still smells a little like crayons, I cannot lie, but it does have like a more coffee-ish smell. Wait, okay, I'm gonna bring out my original Americano again. Original is way better if you're an Americano girly. Although I will say, like, going back and forth, it confused me because that one tasted really sour, and then I tried this one, it was like twice as sour. So I don't know exactly. I think the original one is a lot smoother. I think for smoothness, the original is winning. And I will say, so far the flavor is not strong enough in here that I would want to go and buy the vanilla one. I think I would much rather get the original, and then I would rather buy a bottle of Torani. This is like sugar-free French vanilla. So my rating of the French vanilla is probably gonna be about a 5 out of 10. It is not my favorite. I'm not really sensing the vanilla flavor. It definitely tastes a lot more acrid than the Americano. It does taste a little better with milk, but I feel like it's also because the coffee isn't as strong. But I don't know. Let's try the third and final one now, shall we? Okay, the final coffee. I tried to go a little more dilute with the Americano because I think, looking back, the sourness from the first one could be because of the dilution, but we will see. And then I really tried to go light on the milk with this one because I was really hoping it would turn into a nice dark chocolatey mocha vibe, but it did not. It's really interesting to me. I wonder if there's just like not a lot of chocolate in here, but we will see when we taste it. Smelling the coffee in the glass, it really does smell chocolatey. I think when I opened the concentrate, I really was just hit with a overwhelming smell of coffee, but in the glass, it is a lot chocolatier. So I'm really hoping it tastes chocolatey, even though it doesn't look chocolatey. I'll be very sad if it isn't. I think this is my favorite latte so far. I think out of all of them, this is my favorite so far. It's not a super chocolatey flavor. I also did put less milk in there, so I think it is having more of an opportunity to shine through than the rest of them. However, I think it's the smoothest one in the latte. It's the least milkiest so far. I really would have appreciated a stronger chocolate from this one, but it also is chocolate truffle flavored. I think I do pick up on a more richer truffly taste from this than like, I don't know, run-of-the-mill Torani chocolate sauce. I feel like the real test for the chocolate though is going to be the Americano. I think milk gives a very strong base for chocolate to play off of. The Americano, it's just water. Yeah, it doesn't smell nearly as chocolatey, but I'll say this is the first one that doesn't smell overwhelmingly of crayons, so that does bode well for it. I don't love this one. I don't hate it though either. It's not as bad as the vanilla was, but I don't know that it's as good as the original was. I would drink it. I really just can't get over the smell of these. I don't think that coffee concentrates in general typically smell good. I do like the smell of like a fresher coffee. I don't really enjoy the smell of cold brew, which is similar to these. But I think if you were drinking it from a straw in like a Starbucks tumbler, it would definitely taste a lot better, because the smell is just like really interfering with it for me. However, I think overall, I would rate this guy maybe a 7, a 6 or a 7 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. Okay, now that I've tried all the coffee, here are my rankings. Coming in number 1, we have the original coffee concentrate. I think if I were to buy one of the 3, I would 1000% recommend the original. Even if you're able to just put like brown sugar in it, make a little play on a Starbucks brown sugar shaken espresso, it's gonna be the one that provides the most solid of a base. If you're drinking it as Americano, I think it is a pretty smooth Americano. Obviously, like I said, with the last one that I tried, I would really recommend drinking it out of maybe a closed container, or at least with a straw, so you're not getting that overwhelming concentrated coffee smell that it has to it. However, I think that one is a really good base and pretty cost effective for drinking a good amount of coffee and being able to do the most variety of options. Obviously, you can make it with whatever milk you have at home. You can make it with water and an Americano and it still tastes good. You can just buy a little thing of flavor syrup from the store and put that in there. I think it is a really, really solid base, and while I don't think that it's really the quality that you would get from going to a coffee shop, it is the best quality out of the 3. And if you're trying to save money, it's like $23 for one of these 47 serving bottles, and you'd probably only get like 3 coffees at Starbucks for that price. So I think in terms of cost effectiveness, it is a good choice. And I also, looking at the expiration date on the bottles, they don't really have like an expiration date, I don't think, but they do say to use within 6 weeks of opening. So I don't know that I would recommend anyone get all 3 bottles. I think I would definitely stick with one, and if you're going to choose one, make it the original. Coming in number 2 is the chocolate truffle. I think this one actually had the flavor that it promised to have, and it also did still have that same smoothness that we saw from the original coffee. While it was a little bit more accurate, I think that could have just come down to the dilutions that I used, and maybe I don't have the highest quality water. I mean, I just do tap water and put it through a Brita, so I don't have the highest quality of water here in my home. If I was making it at a coffee shop, it might be a little different. However, I think it is a solid coffee. If you don't want to go out and buy the syrups, I would stick with the chocolate one. Obviously, like I said, you can still add brown sugar, stevia, whatever to it to make it a little more sweet if you are not a black coffee or milk girl. But I think it already does come with a little more of a smoothness and a sweetness that the original and the vanilla don't have as much. And coming in number 3, a coffee that I honestly don't think I would recommend to anyone, is the French vanilla. It's a lot more accurate, a lot less smooth than the other 2, and the vanilla flavoring does not really shine through at all. It's more of a scent of vanilla than a flavor of vanilla, and while it is still cost effective to get a coffee concentrate over a coffee overall, I would definitely pick one of the other 2 before I pick the vanilla and just go get vanilla from the store. You can probably even use just a tiny dash of vanilla extract, although don't quote me on that because I've never made my coffee with vanilla extract, but I don't think that the vanilla one is necessarily worth the money. Because when it comes down to it, if I'm buying coffee, I want to buy coffee that I'm actually going to drink, and I don't think the French vanilla one is necessarily going to be a star in my collection. If I am being honest, from a complete barista perspective and not a college student perspective, I don't think I would repurchase any of these because I really still think that they taste too bitter for me. And obviously coffee is a more bitter flavor, especially if you have a darker roast. The bottle didn't specify how light or dark of a roast it was. But to me, the fact that it's a concentrate and it has to be diluted and it has been sitting in the bottle for goodness knows who long means that I'm not getting a fresh coffee. And for that reason, I probably would not go for these. However, like I said, as a college student, I'm mostly a college creator. So as a college student, I can say that these are probably a much better use of your coffee than going to Starbucks on campus every day. But obviously, like I said, I would really only purchase one of these at a time. And if I were to purchase one, it would be the original. Those are my thoughts. I will not take them back. You can argue with them if you want. But yeah, that is my opinion on the Florence by Mills coffee concentrates. If you want to see me try the canned coffees, make sure to follow and comment down below that you want me to try them so I can run out to Walmart, get them, and make a little short of me trying them. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, please like the video and subscribe so you can see more content from me in the future. Knocking on wood, I'll be posting more soon. But until then, I will see you guys next time.